Hello and welcome to another little bit of Satoshi's News. Today's day is Tuesday the 1st of October 2024, the year of 1,000,000 transactions per second or more. Experience the best of both worlds today at betbitcoinsv.com, the best casino and sports betting on chain. Have a little flutter in private using the original protocol and genuine Bitcoin. Right, let's just see what we're going to go over now. We've got these epic threads to go through. The CSW is posting out here. These look absolutely awesome. That's one. That's a second one. Then Alex is just pointing out something here which we're going to go over. This looks very interesting. And that'll be at the end of the show. Right, let's get into it.
Be Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1,000,000 strong and transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alright then. Let's get into these threads. Check this out. Craig has said, speaking of funky things, let's talk about this absurd circus with the Australian Tax Office documents. Not a single one of these so-called findings came from me or the Tax Office. Nope, not one. The reality, I had these documents because Ira Kleiman, bless his heart, presented them in court. You know, because we were in a legal brawl. And when you're in a case with someone, you get access to the material they provide to the court. Funny how that works, right? But here's the kicker. They're trying to spin the tale that since I had the documents, they must have come from me. How's that for logic? I'm sitting there with the material given to me by the opposing party and somehow they twist it into, oh well, you must have been the source. It's like being handed something in a courtroom and then being accused of stealing it. But sure, let's just ignore how basic legal procedures work and spin this nonsense. It's false, it's ridiculous. Next, COPA. You already know this. You had the chain of custody. On top of it all, one of the few things that Madden actually did right was point out the metadata errors in the Australian Tax Office documents. Yeah, the ones that were fabricated. He recognised it, called it out. The documents were a sham, plain and simple. Yet despite that clear finding, despite the fact that it was established these documents were bogus, they were still used in the judgment against me. Explain that one. How do you take documents proven to be fabricated and build a case on them? Unbelievable. It's like playing poker with a stacked deck, and even when someone catches it, you still lose the hand. You have the proof right in front of you, but nobody seems to care. They've just moved forward like it's all legit, like it didn't matter the documents were cooked, but sure, let's pretend this is all above board. It's not at all. Next, let's talk about this so-called 2015 leak, or doxing everyone's favourite scandal. Turns out from the documents I got, you know, the ones no one seems to want to acknowledge, that the guy who leaked the information to the Gizmodo and Wired, who was feeding them everything, was none other than Ira Kleiman. Yeah, him. The guy running his mouth to the Australian Tax Office, giving them false information, spinning tales like he was auditing for some twisted reality show. And why? Because it's his little fantasy world. He thought all of this would somehow make him rich. What kind of genius thinks he's going to get rich by dragging out half the baked lies and spoon feeding them to the gutter press? This is a guy who thought he'd hit the jackpot by lighting the fuse and watching it all blow up. Meanwhile, he's too dumb to realise he's standing right next to the dynamite. Ira Kleiman trying to play puppet master with a handful of bad info, thinking he's going to ride off into the sunset with bags of cash. It's almost funny, except it's not. It's just sad and dumb, really dumb. Well, I actually think Ira Kleiman had his arm twisted, if you ask me, but you know, another conspiracy theory. What's even worse, the guy's too dumb to realise he was just a pawn in someone else's game. Yeah, could well be. He was being played the whole time by the other side, including Mr. Maxwell, who he cozied up to like they were on the same team. Kleiman thought he was running the show, feeding out all of this so-called intel, playing the big short. But the reality, he was just a fool in the corner getting strung along. Maxwell and the rest of them were probably laughing behind his back, watching him spill his guts, thinking he had it all figured out. He was so wrapped up in his little fantasy of striking it rich that he couldn't see he was being used, manipulated like a clueless puppet. It's pathetic, really, thinking you're the mastermind when in fact you're just the bait. But hey, that's what happens when you're blinded by greed and too stupid to know you're being played. Kleiman, in all his brilliance, thought that by causing the companies to face problems and be liquidated, the money would just magically flow to him. Like he believed capitalization automatically turns into cold hard cash when a company's bankrupt or in ruins. As if the wreckage of a company somehow fills your pockets instead of leaving you with a pile of debt and legal headaches. He was out there thinking that tanking everything would lead to his payday, too blind to see that the bankruptcy doesn't work like that. No gold at the end of the rainbow, just a bunch of worthless scraps, and that's the level of understanding we're dealing with. Yeah, jeepers. Yeah, I mean, talk about moral of the goose that laid the golden egg and all that. I mean, just go back to the old school children stories, really, to learn what should have happened. So another one, Craig has also said, after the court case, there's going to be a number of radical disclosures. I'm talking about all the material tied up in this mess that I'm not releasing right now because, well, the case is still ongoing. But once that's done, everything, filing, every document, every piece of evidence, including IP addresses of documents sent by Christian Ager Hansen to certain lawyers on the other side, it's all coming out and I'm not stopping there. It's going to be everything. Christian Ager Hansen and my wife had a nice talk. He doesn't realise that I was in the background recording it. He thinks my wife was bad-mouthing me. I'd do it right now if I could, but it's not in the best interest given the limitations of this constrained system. But trust me, it's all going to be laid out in the open. The reality is, it should be transparent to everyone. The whole thing isn't about keeping secrets, it's about getting to the truth. And when the time is right, you'll see the full story, not just the bits they tried to hide. The fundamentals of justice demand transparency, plain and simple. No matter how this case evolves or what the outcome is, all of it will be made public. Every document, every piece of evidence, every little detail that's been buried under legalese or swept under the rug, it's all gonna see the light of day. Justice doesn't exist in the shadows, and I'm not about to let this stay hidden. Whether people like it or not, the truth will be out there for everyone to see. Truth needs to be on chain, if you ask me. Let's see what this is all about. What measures have you taken to ensure that this cannot be thwarted? Personal protection in particular should not be overlooked. That would lead to everything coming out. Yeah, jeepers, juicy stuff. Oh, loving that one. Justice. Jeepers. And Alex Forville has said here, the Tufty the Cat who met with Mello was part of an organisation with the same goal as the OpenCrypto.org, the Open Crypto Patent Alliance, called the Open Crypto Foundation. Their website stated, since 2015, we've been anticipating this day. What happened in 2015, CSW? Good question. There's a picture here saying the Crypto Open Foundation is decided to keeping this space free of unwarranted patent assertions. Points here, we take defensive action to oppose overly broad patents. We fundraise for community defense efforts. We specialize in technology, cryptography and patent law. We defend free and open source development and support software code as speech. We are one of the many defensive arms of global decentralized network. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit, but we all know that anyway. And that was in response to a chap called Mark Hunter saying it was only a matter of time before the appeal judge's biased excuse would start making the rounds, no matter who it is. If they rule against Craig, then they all have been compromised because all judges in the UK are corrupt. Well, that's true, but I mean, I'm guessing he sounds like a BTC SegWit support to me. Fraud. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, there we go. Juicy stuff, you know. Never a dull moment in this space. So get your popcorn ready, folks. It's going to get juicy. So there we go. We'll leave you there. Hope you enjoyed it. And as ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.